what's the role of the board of directors? What's the role's duty? So I started here with a quote by George Patton, one of my favorite quotes. If I do my full duty, the rest will take care of itself. And the role of the board is really to follow their duty. They're the leadership of the association. And as leaders, they have to remember their fiduciary duty. And a lot of people may get a little confused what fiduciary duty is. The important thing to remember with fiduciary duty is that you always have to do what's good for the whole, for everyone. You have to put individuals aside, sometimes put their needs aside or small groups' needs. You know, this isn't Congress, this isn't city council where board members are elected to represent, constituents. They're elected to make decisions on behalf of everyone in the association. So it's really important they remember that. In some states, they refer to it as a board of trustees. And I think that's a good term because the people have put trust in the people that they elect to the board. So when we are making policies and decisions on behalf of the association members, we have to think about the whole. A good example in these times, of course, is when are we going to open the amenities, right? A lot of people want to open their gyms right away. And there may be reason to do so, depending on what's going on in your area. However, if it's just one or two people that really want the gym open, then we have to do what's good for everyone. And what's good for everyone may be to keep the gym remain closed. So these are the type of things we have to think about when we think about our fiduciary duty. And then fiduciary duty divides into two separate sections. The first we call duty of care. And duty of care is normally defined as enforcing our governing documents, right? The board has to make sure that the association is maintained properly, that we have good financial health, that the rules and regulations are being followed, and that we're good stewards while we run the association. That's really the duty of care, taking care of things, spending money well, and of course, directing management. How do we direct management? And I know Crystal is going to be talking a little bit more about that later, so I'm just going to leave that thought out there. But the last thing that's really important with the role of the board is the duty of loyalty. And I sum the duty of loyalty myself is you're always a board member. We never take off that hat when we leave the boardroom, right? This includes confidentiality, right? Things that we're not supposed to talk about outside the boardroom. And of course, that we can't profit from our role as a board member. My favorite quote on this comes from Ben Franklin. Ben Franklin said, surely we must hang together, or certainly we will hang alone. And it's so important that board members know that we could say whatever we want to when we go into a board meeting. We're supposed to. That's how we make decisions. That's how we get to good places. Be candid, be open, be frank. But once the board makes a decision, everybody has to stand behind that. And you don't want to go afterwards and go ahead and tell everybody, like, look, I think the board made a bad decision. That's where I go back to Franklin. We always want to mitigate risk when we're making decisions. So that's the important thing here. We want to avoid any type of lawsuit that says the board did something wrong. And if we follow our fiduciary duty or duty of care, duty of loyalty, that's probably not going to happen. Lastly, I'd like to talk about the role of committees. The important thing about committees that Sherman brought up as well is the takeaway is that committees are advisors to the board, right? They're just there to advise, unless your governing document assigns them a specific role. And you will. You'll see architectural committees that can make their own decisions, and some other committees, maybe ADR, but in most cases, they're there just to divide the board, just to advise the board. Did I say divide? Advise the board. Sometimes they do divide the board, and I'm going to get to that in a minute. Ad hoc and standing, right? Ad hoc committees are formed to solve one issue. And right now, maybe reopening amenities is a good example of an ad hoc. Well, a standing committee is a committee that's always there, like our finance committees or our landscaping committees. And we should use committees to train future board members. There's no better place for someone to learn how the association works than on a committee. And committees really should have a charter and a mission. It's well defined because you never want to get into a situation where the committee spends a lot of time trying to solve a problem. They're meeting with vendors, they're meeting with experts. They put together this great plan and the board says, no, we're not going to do that. That's not what we asked you to do. So instructions have to be really clear to committees what they need to solve. And I'm going to recommend that boards stay tight with committees. That way the energy isn't wasted. And I would encourage boards to attend, committee meetings, make sure the committee's going in the right direction. Rather they serve on the committee specifically or they serve as a liaison, but the board's got to stay tight with committees at all times.